But go slow because yours goes faster than mine.
Who's better at making money, myself or Carlos? I regret to admit this, but Carlos, sadly, very sadly, unfortunately, is better at making money than me. Why do I say this? Because before the podcast started, Carlos agreed to be nicer in this podcast, so I have to tone down my defenses. Hey, I'm 29 years of age. Carlos is in his 40s. I don't know exactly how old he is. And Carlos has earned money much more than me. He has more time to earn money. He's been in the business of making a lot of money, a DJ in the entertainment business. And I'm just now starting making money. So I will throw in the towel, the white towel in the ring before we even begin. Carlos is better at making money. Yet, however, I will be much more financially successful than Carlos. I'll be richer than Carlos. I'll be better at making money by the time that I'm his age, wherever he is right now. Why? Because I'm on the spiritual game. What we are going to debate is the Carlos's way of making money, grinding and doing things that you don't like or whatever his philosophy is, and my way of making money, just sitting back, relaxing, and letting everything come onto my lap exactly as it should be done, at least when you're spiritual. I'm just now beginning to do this. Watch my channel. I purchased 55 Rudraksha malas, these ones. It wasn't cheap, and I'm going to sell it. And this is the topic, my friends. Money. Everything about money. The thing that you all need, the thing that we all require to exist, to function, to eat, to buy toilet paper with. And I'm here joined with my good friend Carlos, exactly opposite to me in his personality. And welcome to the show, Carlos. Take it away. What are your thoughts on this?
First of all, I hate the fact that you just started it that way because you just took away all my steam. You stole my thunder. Now I don't feel like being mean to you at all anymore. Um, I think I was thinking about doing two podcasts with you, but I think I'm gonna have to do a combination of the two on this one. I really, I really wish you the best. I really wish you the best in everything that you do, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I hope, like, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, do not believe that it's gonna work out the way you think it is. I think genuinely that you've wasted most of your life until now. Um, you say that I'm 37. You said I'm 40, but I'm actually 37. And then I'm making money or whatever. I've been a DJ since I was 27. So, and before that, I worked and still made a lot more money than you do now. So, I mean, I've been working since I was 15. Probably, I think I was, yeah, I think I was 15 when I started working. And I don't think I've ever stopped working since. So yeah, it has nothing to do with my age. But the last podcast that we did, and almost like every podcast that we do where we have one of your subscribers on, you guys don't understand, like, when I hear the stuff that you guys say and the way that you guys see me respond, like, it's genuinely not because I hate you guys or I want to make fun of you or I want to look cool or anything like that. It's just simply because I feel really bad for the way that you guys think. I do. I genuinely do. And like, I come from a place where, like, I remember having to have people yell at me, hit me, kick me out of their house, um, embarrass me in every single way possible to finally get me to snap out of my thought process, which was close to where your guys' thought process is currently. And so that's the only reason I try to do it to you because it worked on me. And when I look back on it, I'm so grateful now. Like, at the time, I hated those people. that did those things to me. But now that I look back on it, I'm so grateful that they did. Like I remember when I think I was 18 and my dad made me homeless. Like literally kicked me out of the house because I was being lazy and like not, not contributing to the house and also being rambunctious on top of that. He kicked me out of the house and made me live in the street. And I thought he was kidding at first. Like I was like, oh, maybe he's mad one day. He'll let me back tomorrow. So, and then I also thought that my friends were going to save me. So like I left the house, it was like in the middle of the night and I was like, whatever. At first I hung out with some friends outside. And then at the end of the night, I was like, hey guys, my dad kicked me out. You guys think you could let me stay the night or whatever? And my first friend was like, no, I don't think it's going to work. My parents, blah, blah, blah. My second friend was like, yeah, my mom is, no, it's not going to, blah, 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 blah. My third friend, blah, blah, blah. My fourth friend, blah, blah. Finally, I realized I was going to be sleeping in the street that night. And this was in the middle of winter. And so I literally ended up I slept in the street. I slept like on the sidewalk somewhere. I woke up the next day. I said, you know what? I've given my dad enough time for him to realize his mistakes. And so I went and knocked on my house door, and my dad came to the door and he said, "How can I help you?" And he's like, and I'm like, "What do you mean? The hell? Like I slept on the sidewalk last night." And he was like, "And?" He's like, "You're a grown man to go do grown man things." And I was like, but can I work on that later? Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fix that tonight. And he's like, no, too late. Too late now. You said what you said. You're a tough guy. Go do your thing. And he said it with this seriousness in his face. And I looked at him and he looked at me and we were looking at each other. And there was this moment where I was like, you're not going to change your mind? And he was like, and he looked at me back without speaking. We both had this conversation. And he looked at me like, no, I'm not going to change my mind. And I was like, oh, wow. And then when it finally landed that I wasn't coming inside, I walked around for a little bit and saw somebody that was coming home. And I noticed that when they would come home, they would open their garage door and then close it and then go in their house. But their garage door took a long time to close. So I saw that night. I couldn't do anything about it that moment. But the next night, I snuck into their garage. The next night, I snuck into their garage, and their garage had a little attic space. Like it was like a regular carport, but then like they had some stairs to go up, and they had like this little tiny crawl space upstairs where they kept like blankets and clothes for the winter, for like the summer, I guess at that point. And I just opened all the bags, threw them all on the floor, all the blankets, everything, threw it all on the floor, and just made a bed for myself. And I stayed there for weeks. And so every week I had to wait for this person to go to work. And every week I had to wait for them to come back from work to go in and out of their garage. And I realized so many things during that time period. So I would wake up and the first thing that I wanted to do was brush my teeth. And I realized I didn't have a sink. And I wanted to take a shower and I realized I didn't have a shower. And I wanted to go to the bathroom. And I didn't have a toilet. I wanted to wash my face. I wanted to change my clothes. I wanted to anything. And I realized I didn't have any of these things anymore. And I thought, for the first time, I was like, where do all these things come from? Like, where does toilet paper come from, right? Like, I remember toilet paper coming to my mind. And I sat there and I was like, I don't even have toilet paper right now. And it hit me for a second, and then I just pictured like all the small things that my dad was doing for me behind the scenes that I never had considered before then, right? Like buying me toilet paper, doing my laundry and paying the rent and just providing all my necessities, you know, in life. And I was like, okay, I get it now. I'm fucking up. I'm fucking up. I'm not a man, and now I'm sitting here because of this. Uh, and I spent a couple of weeks doing that and doing some things I probably shouldn't be doing and things that I can't mention here to make money, just to get by, just to make enough money to eat food on a daily basis. But I got my act together. I calmed down. I stopped hanging around with the people I was hanging around with. I stopped doing recreational drugs. I stopped doing everything that was a waste of time. I got a job and I got serious about myself. And then within a couple of months, I was able to rent my own room, furnish it. And finally, for the first time, I felt like my own human being. Like I had my own space. Nobody could tell me what to do. I could let my nuts hang. Uh, I could start bringing girls over, doing whatever I wanted, and I just experienced a different side of life in that. I don't know. And then it's just gotten better since then. And I just genuinely want that for you guys. I genuinely want that for you guys. And that's pretty much where all this comes from. So
You've told me that story about you being homeless, and I think you said that you slept in some guy's garage a while back to me privately. But it's crazy every single time you say it. That's wild. Something similar happened to me. I was living in a certain situation, and my stepfather at the time, he always wanted to push me out of the house, but my mom prevented that. And in that sense, well, maybe if I left the house, I would have had to get my act together much faster. I would have to do some job that probably I didn't want to do and focus on things that like this and to come my own place. I missed out on that, I guess. I'm 29 years of age. I don't have to do that, actually. I have a good family. They let me stay here at no cost. And yeah, this is the complete opposite of you. So I don't have that necessity of me needing to find a room or doing something that because I'm on the streets. I don't think I will ever be on the streets. That's not my life. And for a long time before this happened, I thought, oh, this is maybe a serious detriment. I want to live on my own, and this is very important. Until I started traveling, and I traveled for some time, and I realized it's the inside of you has to change. So maybe Carlos, if you were more gentle, more respectful with your dad, if you went up to him again a few days later and apologized truthfully, and he allowed you to stay, and you thought about exactly what you wanted to do, maybe you would have used that amazing opportunity that you had being nested. You didn't have to go and build your own nest. But yeah. To give you some credit, no doubt, I want the same thing for myself. I want my own place, my own private area, and the resources need to be built for that to happen. Maybe my ego isn't willing me to go and do some menial job. I tried doing that in the past, and I'll share with you how I just found that it is not needed. But in the future, I will. In the next year, as I become more financially stable, I will do this for myself, and I will have a place of my own. I'll share with you one little story that my dad always told me, you need to go work, you need to find money, you need to do this, the other thing, you need to become a man. And that's exactly what I did. His conditioning kind of paid off, and I went and I got some regular job in some factory. And I thought, okay, I need to make my own money, and I was making minimum wage. And I was driving my bike to the job. It wasn't that far. It's 20 minutes bike ride. And I almost died because my pants got stuck in the gears. And I was driving through a tunnel, and a massive truck was coming right behind me. And I can't move anywhere. So the truck is honking, and I had to get off my bike and just walk as far as I can to the right side without me getting crushed. After that point, I realized this is nonsense. I need to just sit down, relax. Whatever my dad's telling me, it's not a big deal. I understand why he wanted to tell me those things, but that's not what happened. And fundamentally, yes, it's about building a strong foundation for myself. That's essentially what I've done. This is what it took so long, 29 years. It wasn't very easy, and yeah, I definitely made some huge mistakes. But I feel like the road ahead of me is gonna be much better. So yeah, let's talk about this more. Let's go deeper into this because
So,
yeah.
so one thing that I hear from you when I hear your story is obviously the contrast between the two stories. So this is something similar that I experienced when I talked to Tom, for example. When I hear you, you kind of know that you will never be on the street. And I guess that comes from the fact that, mm, I hate to like put your business out there, but basically your family owns your house, and I guess you stand to inherit that. Um, and then also you never really have to worry about your mom not having a place to stay because she owns her house, and I guess it's paid. It must be paid off. I'm guessing. I don't know. Um, and so yeah, I mean, you just don't have, like you said, you don't have that need. But me, on the other hand, it's the complete opposite. So my parents don't own anything, and I've always looked at, me being the oldest child, and also without pissing my brothers off and sisters off, but I've also always felt like I was the more responsible one as well. And also the one that probably handled my finances the best, and also the one with the most ambition and the most business sense. So I always contemplated my father and mother's last days on this earth. And basically, I know that they will have nowhere to go other than maybe potentially some government assisted, like, nursing home where, you see on the news all the time old people get abused and treated poorly, and they hit them and they yell at them and they don't give them their stuff when they have an attitude with them or whatever. And I just knew I didn't want that for them. And so I knew it was necessary for me to become successful quickly. And the funny thing about it is that it's one of those weird things that you just kind of have to do it in silence, because even though that's my goal, uh, it's not something that's currently manifested, and it's also something that they may not know is my goal. And even if I told them, it's not something it's not part of the day to day thought process, right? As opposed to like regular things, like we have our issues here and there about, normal everyday things, and we argue and we fight and we disrespect, and we sometimes I want to run away, sometimes I get kicked out, sometimes this, sometimes that, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, my goal for their future is still there. And it's kind of annoying, because my whole I feel like my whole life is dedicated to becoming a success, basically. Obviously, partly for myself as well, no doubt, but also obviously like enough of a success to where I'll be able to also help them out as well. Not only my parents, but also my siblings. I mean, if I was to tell you right now my current situation of my siblings, it's terrible. Um, and so and so and so yeah, when I talk to you guys, I guess I just maybe assume that should be the thought process of any child, of any son or any daughter for that matter. But I think especially the son, especially the oldest son. But then I forget that there's people like you and people like Tom, for example. Like Tom's parents, for example, are supposedly like filthy rich, And when I try to tell him about, being more ambitious and et cetera, he's like, why? He's like, my parents own several homes. They're going to give them all to me when they pass away. And I'm also going to get a crap ton of money along with it. And so, like, what's the problem? I could just chill out for the rest of my life and just chase women and party every weekend. And it's hard for me to argue with that because it's true. I think he even told me that one day. I think he even said, he was like, Carlos, I think you just don't understand what it's like to be rich and you just don't care about those things. And when he said that, I was like, for a second, I didn't know how to respond, but just something within me just was like, that's still wrong somehow. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was like, there's still something wrong about not building your character and not building your own wealth and success. I don't know. And I still don't know how to fully explain it, but it's something I feel within my bones. So.
Yeah, where do I start? My parents are successful and yeah, I won't have to work but I noticed within myself that I don't need to wake up. I can wake up at any time I want and I have the freedom and luxury to do whatever I like. And that can potentially create laziness or breed apathy or whatever that naturally that comes up. So I do my best not to fall into that, or I don't fall into that. I'm building this YouTube channel for the first time after 28 years, 29 years now. I'm starting to create something for my life. And I'm wondering, this video is making me think back to what my life would be like if I got kicked out at 18 or 19. But at the same time, as my years were progressing, as through my early 20s and mid 20s, I was thinking about this, that my mom kind of never allowed me to experience these things. My dad wanted to make me leave, but my stepdad. And I came up with this analogy that sometimes in the wild, birds will push their chicks out of the nest even before they learned how to fly. And either you fly or you die. And lots of birds end up smashing the ground, and that's it. It's over for them. So potentially that would have happened. Yes. So I didn't feel like I was ready to move out. I would have moved out and I had to get some burger flipping job where I would really have to strive and struggle and work really hard. That is not very pleasant. And maybe I wouldn't have survived. Maybe I would have survived and that would have been great. But I was appreciative from my mom for not pushing me out of the nest prematurely. When the right time came and I knew, okay, I need to go somewhere else, I need to go to this place, I did. So at least I have the intelligence and wisdom within myself to know that I'm not just, blatantly taking advantage of this and going partying and chasing women. No. At the same time, I'm trying to build something of my own. I see this is also not the wisest thing to do, to live in my parents' house or my mom's house. This is not going to be like this forever. And no doubt, I will fundamentally, inevitably, eventually have to leave, and I'll buy my own place and eventually buy my own house, buy my own compound, spiritual compound that I'll consecrate my lingam. It'll be fantastic. So, yeah, money, very important. But I don't want to leave, okay? So let's look at it rationally. Where would I go right now if my mom said, okay, time to go, time to leave? Okay, now I have to go get some job. What kind of job do I have to do? I don't know, something 9 to 5, something that pays the bills. To pay the bills, I would just pay for my room. Rent is just like so funny to me that you have to pay to live somewhere and then pay for food and whatever else. It would require a lot of effort, a lot of activity. So I'm using this time now to make these YouTube videos and to put as much content as I can out there, and along with other things, and we'll see how it plays out. So I'm giving myself until 33. 33 is when big things change in the human system. By 33 years old, if I haven't made it, if I haven't built something substantial, then you can comfortably say that I'm a failure. But until then, foundation is still being built and moves are being made. So you give me some time, I'll make this happen for sure.
And I'd like to take this time to make an announcement. So in case I unexpectedly leave this planet Earth one day. the way that I am has pushed a lot of people away, basically. One, because I don't like to spend time with people as much as some people would like me to, for example. Uh, I don't like to go out. I don't like to watch TV. I don't like to do many social things. I just simply just dedicate myself to just self-improvement and doing things that I think are going to be productive. And that causes a lot of people, like you don't understand the amount of people that pisses off. Without naming names, but intimate partners, uh, relatives, they get upset at me all the time because they're like, "Oh, you want to do this?" And I'm like, "No, I got something to do." "You want to do that?" "No, I got something to do." "You want to spend an hour on the phone with me?" "No, I got something to do." Um, and the funny thing about it is that for me, in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing this for you. The whole time they're getting pissed off at me. And I'm like, I'm doing this for you though. Like, again, yeah, I'm doing it for me too, obviously 100%, but it's like I'm partly also doing it for you because like you're an extension of me. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and so I just hope, one day maybe in the future, somebody, if I make it, cool. If I don't make it, whatever. But I hope that one day if I no longer exist, I hope those people watch this video and maybe get a better understanding of some of my thought processes at the time. And the same thing goes for your Discord members as well. I also do this for them as well. No, no. I know that sounds kind of gay, but but it's true. I do genuinely do this for them as well. For anybody that comes into my life, I treat the same way because I think it's just in my mind what I've convinced myself is the best thing that you could possibly do. But I guess the more that I'm speaking to you and to people like Tom, I guess I do have to accept the fact that some people just aren't faced with these issues and it's not a big deal for them. So, going back to your eagle analogy, that was one of the first things that I heard when I started going to church when I was like in my, I think it was in my teens. I think it was about 18, 19 when I started going to church. And the pastor gave a sermon about that story, actually, about the eagle and how the eagle basically, he has children, or the eagle she has children. And, the eagles the children are born without feathers at first, right? And so they're just bare skin and weak. And at first, the mother makes sure to make the nest very comfortable. She builds it normally like any other nest with twigs and rough surface things. But then she lays feathers on it for when the birds are born. And as the time goes by, she removes some of the feathers. And as more time goes by, she removes more of the feathers and more of the feathers until eventually it just becomes just twigs again, right? And if you think about twigs, they have like these little, some of it is little tiny, spiky, annoying things that you could imagine the little birds don't like feeling. And I just remember that same like that's how I felt being at home with my parents. Like, it felt like the more time that I was there, the more annoyed I got with the situation. And I related to the little eagle birds of being in the nest with their parents, probably wondering like, why the hell is my mom being so annoying, taking out the feathers of the nest, not realizing at the time that basically the mom was not trying to annoy them, but essentially she was trying to make them stronger because as they felt the twigs on their bare skin, it would cause them to move, right? Because let's say they're laying on a certain side and this twig is just digging into his bare skin, and he's like, I need to move. Let me go over here. And then, this hurts after a while. Let me move over here. And then this hurts, and over here. Gotta roll over. Gotta constantly just can't stay in comfort. And then to the point where eventually they get strong, you know. And you kind of you gave the story, but I think when you hear the full detail of it, it kind of makes more sense, right? The mother's trying to make them stronger, and then when they finally, from moving around so much, their feathers and their wings start coming in, and their strength starts coming in, and then finally the mother makes the decision. Okay, I think it's time to start putting them through this test, basically making it even harder, so that the birds at the time may have thought, this is hard as hell already. Right? But the mom's like, nope, we got more. There's more hard stuff to come. If you only knew, I'm about to throw you out. I'm about to grab you by your neck and fly you up 10,000 feet in the air and throw you out into the sky to your impending doom. And again, I could just imagine being the little bird, right? And it reminded me of my scenario when my dad kicked me out of the house. And then I realized how hard life was. And I was like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? Like, I wish somebody would have told me. But when I heard that story about the eagle, I was like, they must have felt exactly the same way. It was just like it just suddenly was just thrust upon them, right? Like, okay, fine. They were annoyed with the twigs. And now it's like, damn, mom, like, you're pretty mean. And it's like, now you're on top of that, you're throwing me like 10,000 feet into the air, towards the ground. But then, as you realize, through nature, basically what she's doing is she's putting them in a situation that she knows, she basically knows intuitively that unless their backs are against the wall and unless they're facing death, essentially, they won't force themselves as hard as they possibly could. And so that's why she's doing it. So it's like, it's out of love that she's kicking them out. And so I don't know, the story that I heard about the eagle is a little bit different than the one that you told. You kind of made it sound like she just throws them out and good luck, and they just kind of plop on the ground. But the story I heard was that she kicks them out. She grabs them, she flies them up really high, and then she drops them, and then as they start dropping, they start trying to flap their wings to fly. But they try as hard as they possibly can, right? Because it's terrifying. And that's the part that I want for you guys. Like, I see you guys, you guys are like, meandering around, like, oh, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, but it's not really working out so good. And, I just living paycheck to paycheck. But you're not trying as hard as you possibly can. That's the part. That's the part that I see that I feel that you guys are missing, and that the eagle is trying to bring out of her children. But the stories I heard is that before they hit the ground, the mother flies down and grabs them again, and then brings them back to the nest, and then gives them a little time to reflect on what just happened. And then does it over and over and over and over and over again until they finally figure it out. Yeah, it's just, that story just hit me, and I was like, that's so true. And then it made me, like I said, think back on my parents and what they did to me. I remember my mom used to make fun of me when I was like, I don't know, I think I was around that same age, 18, whatever. And I was living at her house, and she started making fun of me, calling me a freeloader. And I remember that annoyed me to no end. That embarrassed me, and I felt like I'm not a man, right? And then I remember my dad kicking me out, And so he like mom and dad together had a way. Like my mom would make fun of me, but she would never kick me out. But my dad, he would make fun of me and he kicked me out. Right. So I think it's more of the father's role, to be honest, but in terms of humans. But either way, they did the same thing that an eagle would have done to their child. And like I said, I look back at that and I'm grateful for those things now. Because I mean, I look back at my life now and I compare it to other people. And, you know, other people, like you said, have to work a 9 to 5. Most people have to work a 9 to 5. And I remember working a 9 to 5 and I hated my life, like genuinely hated my life. And I remember having these realizations of like, I'm working so much and like, okay, it's a 9 to 5, right? But then like the 9 to 5 is not just a 9 to 5. You have to get up like 2 hours before that, like prepare your lunch, get dressed, get in the car, drive for an hour. So like you're getting up at like 5 in the morning every day, which is I personally just hated it. And then you go to work for 8 hours. You got people yelling at you. Then you got your boss looking over your shoulder. You can't say the wrong thing. You got to constantly control your temper. You feel like a slave, and then at the end of the day, you get paid. You get paid slave wages, essentially. Basically, just enough money for you to just survive and come back to work the next day. And that was me trying. And at that time, I thought I was trying, but again, I wasn't trying my best. And then when I finally pushed myself to become an entrepreneur, I just looked back at my life and I'm like, I thought I was living a dream. I was working 2 days a week and I was making more money than I ever had, more money than most people around me did. And again, it made me just look back and just say, wow, my parents made me into this. And again, it's just, you know, you guys are now past the age where I started doing that. You just slightly, maybe 2 years after me, but some people in your Discord are way older than you and they're still thinking the same nonsense. So I don't know. I hope that maybe they're all in your situation and in Tom's situation that they don't need to do anything and things will still be fine. I hope that's what where they're at. But if they're not, then I genuinely believe they need to snap out of whatever nonsense it is that they're believing in.
All right, let's take some questions. I have some questions. Some people commented on you. Someone said that you give off smart vibes. Someone asked me if they can be my video editor. Absolutely. If you want to edit my videos, go right ahead or talk about it.
One of those.
Join my Discord. That's the best way of contacting me. It'll be on my YouTube channel's info. Someone mentions the difference between being rich and not filthy rich. People say filthy rich to make money sound bad. Oh, he's filthy rich. And someone has a question. He says, 28, Mr. Rain says, hi Shiva. I'm trying a new job at a donkey refuge. Quite a job. Basically taking care of abused donkeys. My boss said I'm not working fast enough. Every job I try seems to fail. I can't find anything that works. Simple thing are hard for me. Is that just me being mentally messed up? You want to answer this one, Carlos?
Yeah. First thing I would recommend your friend to do is to go ahead and get himself the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Remember that was the first book that changed my life. And it explained to me the necessity of getting out of being a wage earner. So he explains the 4 quadrants. And your friend's not crazy. There is no job that you're ever gonna have. Like, I mean, job. When I say job, I mean like an hourly salary job where you're working for someone else, where you're ever gonna feel satisfied, because you're not. Because the reality of the matter is that that person is living his dream life, and you're doing all the work and making most of the money for him, and then he just gives you what's left over. And so uh, the analogy that I always make is basically, I don't know how much you're making at your job. I wish maybe he could post it on your channel. I hope he does, and if he does, let me know. But I remember working minimum wage sometimes, which when I at my age it was like $5. And then even at the highest, I made like 20 something dollars an hour. And I just remember thinking, looking back at my life now, I'm like, I could only imagine somebody pulling out $5 or $10 or $20 even, and giving it to me and saying, here, I'm going to tell you what to do for a whole hour now. And then I realized why I was so unhappy is because that's ridiculous. There's no way in hell that if I thought about it that way at this time, nobody could pull out $20 and tell me what to do, what they want for a whole hour. That'd be insane. That'd be insanity.
Wow.
And so your friend needs to realize that that's why he's so unsatisfied. And that's why everything fails, because if you're living an unsatisfied life, then you're not going to really try your best. And then your bosses are always going to be dissatisfied with your productivity. And then they're always going to complain. And then you're going to, and then you also have to deal with your emotional states that fluctuate up and down. Sometimes you feel motivated, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're going through a breakup. You don't even know how you're going to make it through your day, but you still have to go to work. And so that's why those things fail. And then you also have to deal with your boss's emotional state. Sometimes they have issues and then they take it out on you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And so essentially all those all those wage jobs are destined to fail. And plus they're designed in a way to not make you enough money to be able to break free. And so your job, essentially, I would say to you, is to, the first thing I did was cut back on my expenses as much as possible. And like I'm talking about like eating ramen noodles every day and turning off all the lights in my house and doing everything possible to just cut my expenses back. And I saved every penny that I could until I finally started making enough money, saved enough money to where I could start buying equipment to start my own business. And I'll just let you know right now, that's what you need to do. You need to start your own business, because when you start your own business, then you have nobody telling you what to do. You're the boss. You decide when to wake up. You decide who to talk to, who not to talk to, what clients to take, what clients not to take. If a client gives you an attitude problem, you can give them one right back. And you don't have to hold anything. You don't have to hold anything in, because holding stuff in is actually what depresses you. And you're kind of, when you live paycheck to paycheck, you're forced to hold everything in because you're depending on your boss. So yeah, they become your life. They become basically like your whole life force, your whole life source. And yeah, just get out of it. Get out of that position. Don't think that you're crazy for the way that you feel. You're not. You're depressed because you're in the wrong. You're living the wrong life. And so yeah, get the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it'll help you understand how to move from. You move from a wage earner to an entrepreneur to I think it's a business owner, and then an investor, where then money just makes itself. So that's the path you need to take.
Yeah, he clarified that he is making $20 an hour, 20 Canadian dollars.
Yeah. What's that what would you say that is in US dollars?
Maybe 17 American.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, just think about that, and like literally think about, if I give you $17 right now, Shiva, would you do whatever I want? It would probably make you feel a little weird, right?
Yeah. My advice, my recommendation for you would be to bring the energies of Shiva into your life. Not me, but this gentleman here. Some destruction will follow, and you'll come out wiser in the end. Someone talked, this night walker, he has a crush on you. He says about you, Carlos, you have F and then leave vibe. Playboy vibes you have. And he goes on to say that you take care of yourself and you groom, which I guess means you cut your hair. I guess that makes me not a groomer because whatever nature gave me, that's what I have flowing. So
Yeah, I'm. Is that all he's? Is that all you wanted to say something else about it, Shiva?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So as far as F and then leave vibes, I've definitely went through that stage in my life. I didn't start off as an F and then leave type of guy. I started off as a simp, and I learned very quickly that women take advantage of you when you do that. The only thing I could say to you about that, I don't want to drag this out too long because it's not the topic of this conversation, but love is war. And so you and your partner are constantly fighting for position. And if you're just a simp and you're constantly giving up your, giving up your position to make space for them, then you just end up living in a corner. And so I just learned to stand up for myself eventually. And as I did that, I mean, women broke up with me even when I tried to make space for them. And I talked about it in the last podcast. Women broke up with me even when I gave them everything I thought they wanted and denied myself everything. And then, so then I just said, F it. I'm going to be an F boy. Like this guy said, F and then leave. I became that guy. Where I just said, I'm going to treat you however I feel like treating you. And if you want to leave, good. And if I want to leave, good. No problem. And then I also went through a period where I did not even sleep with it. I had like 4 girlfriends at one time. And I didn't give a rat's behind how they felt about it. And the only reason I stopped was for health reasons because of, eventually I was like having sex with multiple women on the same day without using protection. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'll probably end up dying soon from if I keep doing this. So then I realized I had to stop. So yeah, I'm not an F and then leave type of guy anymore because of that.
Eden asks, then what? I mean, what do you do with the money after you've earned it?
And you help yourself. Did you hear the answer I gave?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let me just read a comment, I guess, while you're fixing yourself.
All right, I'm back. I'm not sure if that disconnected.
No, you were good.
Okay.
Yeah, the answer to his question is you make the money and then you help people. You provide and protect for those that you love. You do. And also you provide and protect yourself.
Yeah.
Including your children. I forgot to mention them. That's another one. That's another one you guys need to all consider as well. Maybe you don't have to take care of your mom, but you're definitely going to take care of your children. So that's another one I would strongly suggest you to think about. I don't know if you want to make a comment, Shiva, or if you want me to read some of my comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have Silent Oaks. He says this is a heartfelt conversation. Good job. Then he says, in tribal societies, the initiation into adulthood, but it seems modern society lacks those clear-cut passages. That's absolutely true. I'm sure you know what he's talking about there, Shiva, with the initiation to becoming a man. They basically throw you into the wild and have you fend for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you come back, then you successfully become a man. Riz says, Los, I realized a couple years ago we have to make our own money somehow. The only existing frontier left is to invest in crypto. I love how you added that caveat there. Yeah, definitely. For anybody who doesn't know, I suggest that you study crypto and realize that it is actually the future. You cannot lose. Even if you get in now and let's say there's a something catastrophic happens and you lose in the short term, in the long term, you will make money because it's the future of money. Riz also says, take care of yourself and your family first. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my connection is becoming very, very bad. Losing some people in
You look good to me, Shiva.
Oh, okay. But yeah, someone said that I glitched out for a while.
No, you did. You did. You glitched out, but that was like literally 2 minutes ago. You
Oh,
haven't
okay.
glitched out since.
Yeah, very important. Money. I think that's the next podcast we might do tomorrow. Almost for sure we will do about crypto. Uh, we'll have a nice discussion about it and clear up some doubts and confusions. Well, without giving too much away, but uh, I followed Carlos's advice and it seems to be working. So we're gonna pick his brain more tomorrow about crypto.
I feel bad for people who didn't take my advice initially. You guys know I was all screaming at you guys since February to jump in. And for most people who are asking for my advice now, I almost feel like it's technically not too late, but it's definitely a riskier time to enter than it was back in February and August. Those were the two best times, I think, and obviously a year before that. Shiva looks pasty to me. Somebody said you look pasty.
I'm a pasty guy. What can I tell you?
So what do you say, Shiva? I want to know. So you know my full story. You know what my angle is. You know why I come with such intensity and anger and rudeness and brashness. But I think you understand where it's coming from now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also think that I also understand your perspective a little bit more as well. You genuinely just don't have the same pressing issues that I do. So I guess I can understand you more, and maybe you should understand me more. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, maybe 5% difference has changed, but not as significant as it should. Some things need to be still investigated. I'm realizing about myself that, yes, maybe I would have liked to be in a different position. Maybe I would like to be a millionaire, but that's just not the way it is. That's not reality. What I am noticing is that I want to be comfortable. Maybe that's not a strong value to some people. Especially if you're a strong man, if you identify yourself man, oh, you should be comfortable. No, I want to be extremely comfortable, very comfortable. I want to live a comfortable life. I want to know that I have enough money to pay for my survival needs, and I was just not even thinking about that anymore. And I'm just waking up, okay, what do I do? Focus on art, focus on this, focus on that. Fortunately, my mom is quite successful. She has her own situation. Maybe I'll do a podcast with her very soon in the near future. Stay
I
tuned
would
for that.
love to see that, actually.
Yeah, so she doesn't need my help in terms of that. She's got her thing going, and yeah, I have no doubt that I'll make financial success for myself. It's going to take some time, and I don't have that intensity, maybe as I should or I need to. I don't need to. So I'm doing the things that work, and yeah. So coming back to this comfort, by next year I want to have a place of my own, and I want to be comfortably living in somewhere. I think exactly where I want to go in Toronto. I mean in Ontario. And so we'll see. In a few months, my life situation will change, potentially.
Not that I want to contradict what you just said. I mean, who am I to tell you not to be comfortable? But for anybody out there who is not as comfortable as you and having to be in a 9 to 5 situation, I would tell you that there's ways of being comfortable and still making lots of money. So, like, for example, like I told you, like I was a DJ for 10 years before I became paralyzed. And you have no idea, like my work, the weekends when I went to work, like those were the best days of my week. Like I actually hated not going to work. Like Monday through Thursday was boring as hell. And you could say that was I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing nothing for, like I said, like maybe the first year, but after that I got extremely bored and I started to hate the monotony of it. And but always, even from the beginning, Friday and Saturday were like I just could not wait because it was just so much fun. And so I would just, tell everyone out there who is listening to your side about wanting to be comfortable. Sure, seek comfort, I guess, but even beyond comfort, I was ecstatic I was comfortable, and I was ecstatic to go to work. So if you find the right thing for you, you can also be comfortable and have lots of fun while doing it and still make lots of money if you put yourself in the right position. So
Yeah, if you have the luxury of being comfortable, I mean, comfort isn't bad. Uh, you want to be comfortable. Not being comfortable, it doesn't feel too good, it hurts. And why chase money? Why chase success? Well, so that ultimately you can be comfortable. You're not going to be grinding through the snow or the sand every day of your life. Well, some people are. This famous guy, David G out there on YouTube. You know who he is. A big grinder, whatever. But ultimately, you want millions of dollars so you can comfortably afford a nice house on the beach, eat some nice food, sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. Fantastic. Have lots of children. So sometimes the path to get that is not exactly comfortable, but maybe challenging. That's the word that you're kind of maybe misunderstanding or misinterpreting. Yes, things are challenging, and challenging is fun. Challenges are fun. And but discomfort that can break you. Being too uncomfortable for a long period of time, that's not good for the human psyche. Challenges and overcoming challenges, that's very fun, especially if you're a man. That's your whole thing. So I'm overcoming challenges every single time I talk to Carlos, getting wiser. This conversation was very helpful. Talking about money.
yeah, so I think what I'm gonna have to start doing with your Discord members specifically is I'm gonna have to start asking them where they're coming from, and I usually just ask them if they're broke, if they have a girlfriend, if they're happy. But I think I'm gonna have to start asking them if they also have an inheritance waiting for them, because I think that's I think that is the what would you call it? I think that's what makes all the difference. I think in the people who really see my point of view and the people who don't. I think,
Yeah.
and then I think well, at least I would respect their opinion a little bit more if I knew they had an inheritance and they didn't really care. Then I really couldn't argue with them. But if they were just kind of just if they're like, no, I don't have an inheritance, but I still feel this way, then I'm still gonna go hard on them. So
Yeah, I want to clarify that I'm not here waiting for my mom for my inheritance. I'm sure my mom will do something, but that's at it, that's way down the line. I'm not like, oh, I'm inheriting. No, I want to create my own thing. And the inheritance I get, oh, that's very nice. I'm sure it'll be a nice bonus.
you're gonna
But
get the house.
I mean, yeah, I'll share with my brother. That's fine. But the biggest benefit that I have is I don't have to pay rent. And that's huge. My mom was telling me a few days ago, I thought this was shocking to me, that in Toronto right now, if I want to rent the same room that I'm living in right now, it would be like 1,200 Canadian dollars. That's insane. If, I don't really have that much experience in terms of the workforce, like going out there and working for somebody, I would really have to struggle and strive really hard to just afford this and food. Wow. That would not be an easy life. That would be hard.
How old is your mom, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh,
Or roughly, like what decade is she in?
she's born in the 70s.
She's in her 50s.
40, 50 in this ballpark. But hey,
It's pretty young.
yeah.
Okay. Does she work still?
Yeah, she does. She has her own business, you could say. She's an entrepreneur or this type of work she does. Very
Oh,
successful.
she is.
Yeah. Uh, she drives a Tesla. Uh, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so I got lucky.
You're
Well,
exactly like Tom. Definitely exactly like Tom.
she wasn't always like this. She had to work for this, definitely. She didn't inherit it, but she's very successful now, and I'm appreciative of her. And we're both have an understanding that this is a spiritual game. We're in a spiritual path, both my mom and I, and we're kind of helping each other.
Do you
And
care? Do you care telling me what she does?
I think it'd be better if she answered it herself. I'll for sure do a podcast with her very soon, and she'll explain everything. We have some more comments. I think this is very valuable to read them. Some things are coming up. All right. So
Okay.
M says, "Hey Shiva bro, I got crypto project. I lost more than $200,000 on myself. Maybe you and Carlos can give it a new life. Let's talk. We talked on Facebook once. My friend M, tomorrow is the perfect opportunity for you to jump on the podcast with and tell your story of how you lost $200,000. That's a game changer. That's a wild story. Reach out to me again on Facebook or Discord and anywhere you can. We'll set this up, okay? We'll wait for you to do this podcast. I don't
Stop
want
being selfish, Shiva, and tell him to join my Discord. I give crypto advice in there all the time.
yeah.
I'll tell you how to fix. I'll tell you how to fix your portfolio. Okay.
Yeah. You join Carlos's. He knows a thing or two about. Okay, good. So he heard
Yeah.
it.
So go to whoever said that. Go to my community. Go to Scary Hours podcast. Look me up. Subscribe to my channel as well, and then go to my community post. And there's a link in there for a Discord server, and I can give you some advice on how to fix your crypto portfolio up.
Yes.
First thing I'd tell you right now is definitely don't sell it right now.
Yeah, I don't.
When you join the Discord, I'll tell you why.
Okay. So Em, I hope you join us on the podcast and join Carlos's Discord, as you said, and don't sell. To summarize. Eden says, "I'm doing farm work and I don't want anyone to take my word for it, but I work my butt off comfortably. Personally, realize the universality of life helped me always create comfort space inside." That's nice. Farm work is excellent. Someone asked me, "Is English your first language, Shiva?" No, it's not. Ukrainian is my first language. When I came to Canada at a young age, I watched The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Futurama literally every single night after I came back from school, and that's how I learned English, along with SpongeBob and other fantastic cartoons. This is my second language, but I speak it pretty well. So,
Oh, that's what I missed that part. You were saying you learned English from watching cartoons. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
So, I think to summarize this conversation very nicely is that if you're living in the United States or if you're living in Canada like I'm living in, let's just all take a moment and appreciate the fact that we're living in these countries. Most likely, if you're tuned into this broadcast, you're watching it on your phone, you have opportunities beyond your wildest imagination. And there's no need for you to go slave away at some 9 to 5 job unless you want to. And you can make big opportunities happen for yourself. The sky is the limit. With the invention of the internet, you can profit very highly. So, yeah. In America,
Yeah, so I would also add, just for your thing too, Shiva, like your message could just go a lot further too if you had a lot of money as well. So just another thing to consider.
yes, absolutely. So I must acquire lots of money for that to happen.
Asm said, "I can't believe I missed an hour of this already. I missed out on so many roast sessions." Asm, so actually I decided not to roast Shiva, but we had a very heartfelt conversation. I highly suggest that you join the replay gang and watch this when we release it, which will be immediately after it ends.
Yeah, maybe a good topic to discuss is the importance of ethical earning money, because when you talk about, oh, you need to become a millionaire, your message will come across so much. Yeah, but how do I do that? Am I going to sell nonsense to people or sell some courses or, hey, buy my course? No, I don't want to do that. It's very unethical to me. So I bought some nice products now for the first time. I'm selling them. Shout out to me. I bought some Rudraksha, these beads. I bought a lot of them. You should definitely buy them. $110 per one.
$110?
Yes.
Holy cow.
That number isn't, by the way, that's an ethical number. This is not me trying to make a dollar or something. This is the most appropriate, fundamental number I could have come up with.
No, I agree with you on that. I don't, one thing I believe in, and I had to learn this about my business as well, was that you should price yourself very comfortably because, for one, the people who do purchase will appreciate the product a lot more, and people who have the money to buy those types of things, or to spend that kind of money, tend to complain a lot less. So
That is so true.
The one in the morning is one of each.
If you price yourself
yeah, mom.
too little, that's not good for you and not good for them. If you price too high, also not the best. You want to find an appropriate range.
Somebody said $69 is the most appropriate number for those beans. 69. Little sexual joke there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, definitely pricing yourself. You got what I want for anybody listening, since we're giving business advice. For anybody listening out there, pricing yourself is, you basically price yourself into the what do you call it? Into the marketplace that you want to be in. So if you want to have business with poor people, then you price yourself for poor people to buy your products. If you want to have business with middle class people, then you price yourself for middle class people to buy your products. If you want to do business with rich people, then you just simply price yourself in a way where only rich people could afford your products. I learned this lesson when I was in the middle of being a DJ, and I remember this one venue that wanted to hire me to be their permanent DJ, and I told her what my current prices were, which to me were high at the time. It was I think it was $1,200 per DJ session, and to me I was like, that's amazing money, right? Like $1,200 for a couple of hours. Like, who's making that kind of money? But this was a high-end venue, and I didn't realize at the time so she said, yeah, just send me your pricing sheet and I'll post it here in my venue, and then all my rich clients will hire you, and we'll make a great partnership. So I said, oh, awesome, cool. I put like 3 packages together. One was like $1,200, one was like $1,500, one was like $1,800. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, wow, if I get $1,800, I'm gonna be rich one of these days. And I sent her I drew up this pricing sheet, and I made it like pristine. I made it perfect, beautiful, because I'm thinking like, this is for rich people to see. And I thought I killed it. I spent hours putting these packages together, and I sent it to her. And I remember being so proud of myself, right? Because I was like, now I'm going from making $1,200 all the way to now opening the public $1,800. Oh my God, almost $2,000 a day. And she sent me back an email, very upset and very almost disappointed in me. And I remember it hurt my feelings so bad because I was so proud of it initially. And I was reading her message, and she said, she's like she almost, I don't remember her exact words, but she looked like a person who, like, she was speaking from like a higher dimension, and she was trying to speak to like a little, like an ant. It was like a human trying to talk to an ant, essentially, is how she was trying to, like, she was trying to say, like, oh, like, I don't know if you understand, since you're poor, I don't think you understand how rich people think. That was kind of the gist of her message. But basically what she said was, she said, listen, Carlos, I don't know what kind of venues you're used to working at, but I'm running a high-end venue, which is only for affluent clients that basically can take the money that you're charging and use it to wipe their ass. And so if they see that dollar amount, they're automatically gonna assume that you're a low quality DJ, and then they're not gonna want to hire you. And so she was like, I suggest that what you do is double every single price that you listed, and then resend me the list again.
Wow.
And you could only imagine my shock. shout out to my Bay in the comment section. Shout out to you, Bay. Bay, you should actually watch this whole episode if you get a chance. I think it'll be very beneficial for you to see what I had to say here. Anyway, but my mind was blown, Shiva, when she said that, right? And I understood, but I understood it clearly. Like it hit me hard. It was like, it's so true, right? If you see something for $5, you assume it sucks, right? But if you see something and you're like, wow, this thing is $500, it doesn't matter what it like, right? It almost doesn't matter like what it is. You're just like, wow, there must be something about this. It kind of sparks your interest in a certain way. And so, yeah, for anybody out there who's, like Shiva just mentioned, he's charging $150 for some beads.
110
Good.
Canadian.
Yeah, 100, 110 Canadian, whatever. Yeah, what that's gonna do is it's gonna make you value them that much more, and then when you value them that much more, you're gonna have more intention behind them. So it's actually gonna make them more powerful for you. And I remember having the same exact effect as I raised my prices as a DJ. I remember getting my clients. I was the same DJ, but for some reason, the more I raised my prices, the people thought I was better every time. They were like, "Oh man, this guy's cool. You're badass. You're the best DJ I ever heard." And I was like, I was the same DJ I was 2 weeks ago, when I was charging 500 or 1,000 or whatever. You know what I mean? But like I said, you get better clients. Like, I feel like I'm dragging this, but the last thing I'll say about it is, so imagine dealing with a poor client, right? And then think about all the reasons why somebody would be poor. I don't feel like talking too much crap about the poor, but a lot of the times it's because they just have they don't have good or productive thought processes, essentially. So they're either lazy or they have bad attitudes, right? And then those are the people that you're dealing with. And then when you think about people who are rich, a lot of them, not all of them, some of them are also, dickheads, but a lot of them became rich because they learned how to deal with people well. And they learned how to communicate well. And so it's when you're communicating with them, they're just much more professional. They give you the right information. They're not rude. They're very polite, very well spoken, everything. Everything is better in every way. And so yeah, price yourself according to the market that you want to be in. That's what I would tell everyone. And so shout out to Shiva for selling his $110 beads.
Yeah, someone in the comments said that it's $1 per bead. Yes, it is. That's not that much. And I thought about this, that, from the price that it takes to buy them and then to ship them, to pay the people that make them and the customs, and then also to ship. The shipping is included with the price, $110. It's priced appropriately. I didn't just come up with this number out of thin air, although that's literally what happened. I just intuitively, this is the price, this is how it is. I'm not willing to drop this price by $1. Neither am I willing to raise it by $1 because this is the value that it has. It's $110. You made me realize this is not for poor people. This is not for poor people. This is for someone that if you're affluent and you want to progress in your spiritual path and you value yourself enough. Being poor isn't a positive quality, by the way. It's not spiritual. If you value yourself enough, this is what you buy. So.
Yeah, and $110 is actually not a lot of money anyway. Even a poor person could, if they put their mind to it, they could afford it if they really wanted it.
Yeah.
So they would just value it that much more.
And yeah. So also for my sake, if you price things too poorly, you're doing yourself a disservice. Not that pricing things highly is going to do something better, but you don't value yourself enough. That's why you price things poorly or you price things lower than you naturally should. You know, for a long time, I used to do free spiritual readings. I would say this to my videos when I was in Australia for free. Anyone can come and talk to me. And that was wonderful. People took advantage of that, but I can't do that anymore. I'm not free. And neither of my services are free. $220 Canadian to talk to me, just to talk to me. And hey, if you value this, that's how much it is. I'm not willing to exchange this for nothing.
Yeah,
That's also, you have to value yourself a certain way to price things.
absolutely. Let me just read a comment here that I want to make a note on based off of what you just said too, Shiva. Azam says Ben Settle says you have to price for consumption. I'm not exactly sure what he means by that, but I don't think I resonate with it. It almost sounds like what he's saying is price yourself for the most amount of people to want to buy it, and I'd say that's absolutely wrong. One thing that I found out I remember when I started DJing, I did weddings for $500, and of course I was at that price. I was booked every weekend, right? Did two weddings a week, and it was good. It was good. It was cool. And then I went to $1,000 per wedding, and then I started getting booked less, right? But what I realized is that even though I got booked a little bit less, I still somehow made more money. So I was working less and making more money. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then when I went to $2,000 per wedding, same thing happened. I started again, a little bit more friction in the conversations and getting less bookings. But again, same thing happened. I started working less and making more money. So I need you guys to understand that. And then also, not to take it too far off subject, but this is, I think I need to do a whole I think I did a podcast on this a long time ago, but I need to do this again. I need people to understand inflation and the fiat currency, the fiat dollar, the debt monetary system that we currently live in. So I don't know how it is in Canada, but the standard what do you call it? The standard inflation rate in the United States is 2%, right? Is it like that in Canada, Shiva? Do you guys have a standard inflation
Yeah,
rate?
that sounds about right.
Okay, so 2%, cool. So, but that number fluctuates, and it fluctuates often because 2% basically is if everything is working pristine. But if there's an emergency, if there's any disruption in like the what do they call it, the trade routes or whatever, then there's an increase in inflation. And so sometimes it varies. It goes 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%, 10%. I think during COVID, it went all the way up to like 14%, 18%, something like that. And so what I want you guys to think about is this. Even if you were just to stick to the 2% number. Wow, that's rude. Even if you were to stick to the 2% number, let me put this on silent real quick. Even if you were to stick to the 2% number, I'm 37. So let's just say I'm 40 to round it off. If I was to stick to the 2% number over my lifespan, the value of my dollar went down 80%. And that's one thing that people don't realize. That's like it's kind of like they mind fuck you when they do this stuff, because if you're not aware, if you're not sensitive enough to pick up on this thing, and this is where, again, I say it's a matter of intelligence. This is why I say money comes with intelligence, because you really have to be perceptive to understand this, right? Because why? Because let's say you have $100,000 in your bank account, right, Shiva? And then you're like, wow, I have $100,000. I'm just gonna save this for my retirement. So you just leave it in your bank account for 40 years. Technically speaking, if everything is pristine, by the end of those 40 years, you'll have $20,000 technically speaking. But when you open your phone app and you look on your bank account, you're like, no, I have $100,000. So you see how they get you?
Yep.
But the funny part about it is, like I said, during COVID, during every war, during every geopolitical issue, during any type of crisis, the 2% goes out the window and it goes to 5, it goes to 10, it goes to 14, it goes to 20. So that number that I'm giving you of your money losing 80% of its value is, even that's just a fantasy. Like in reality, your dollar has actually probably lost in that time period like 300, 400, 500% worth of its value. So you also need to be increasing your prices every year. That's another thing you need to also understand if you're wise with money. So if you work a wage job, you need to first of all become indispensable at your job to the point where you can demand these things. And the way you do that, number one, is by getting another job offer first. And then once you get another job offer, you go to your boss and you say, hey, look, I got this guy. I got this other guy at this other company doing the same job. He's willing to pay me $5 more. And so I'm asking for $5 here so I can stay here. And if you don't give it to me, no hard feelings. I have to do what's best for my family, and I'm gonna go over there. And they'll give it to you if you're really good at your job. And if you're an entrepreneur, you just have to raise your prices every year. So that's just the way of the world. And so I need you guys to be very aware of that.
Yeah, very important. Inflation, not really something that people think about. I definitely don't think about that, but as an entrepreneur, I will definitely take this note. I will raise my prices as the years go by. Very important, very valuable. And yeah, so I'm learning more about this entrepreneurship game.